Welcome back to the second video of our Sugar Skull, Alien Skull, whatever you really want to call it. In this one, I am going to add the ears and the teeth. So I think this is actually an easier way of adding the ears than he does. I'm going to add a cylinder. I'm going to put it on my, looking at this x-axis, and you can tell by looking at which direction. See, the x is the red one, z is blue, y is green. So then I know that I want to put that on the side axis here. So then I'm going to go T to scale this down. I kind of like the idea of doing it simultaneously on both sides. The risky part is that it's kind of harder to see. And in a way, this, I think it's funny because it looks kind of like Princess Leia buns on her head. So anyways, that's just my sci-fi coming through. So once you get that, I'm going to go with a cylinder, rotation segments. You can up that so it's smoother. But since we're 3D printing, it's already kind of low poly in a way. This Boole has all these selection tags and you can delete those. You can actually delete the Fong tag, which will kind of, the Fong tag tries to smooth things out. I'm going to delete it on all of that so it's very sharp. I'm going to go to my live selection. I did make it, I'm going to hit C to make it editable. Drop that in. That Boole is now making a hole, right? So I want to turn that Boole to a union B. So it combines the two. And you can tell, watch when I do, turn that off. See how when the lines come in here, it looks really smooth right now. When I turn that on, if it's unioning, that means making sure that this is watertight. Alright, so I'm going to get my live selection. I'm going to select my cylinder. I'm going to turn off my Boole. I'm going to go to my polygon mode. And select my cylinders here. Now soft selection is turned on, so I want to make sure that soft selection is back to normal because I don't want to affect the polygons on that side. Now this is the key to doing it this way, and it's really not that bad if you don't, but we also want to select the ones on this side, and then I'm going to come to extrude inner, wherever you are, there you are. I'm going to come in, okay, and extrude, and you could go in or out on this. I'm going to go in, and just to make sure, I'm going to look at this side and make sure it's affecting both sides. It is, so that's good. Then I'm going to go extrude inner, extrude it in again. Then I'm going to go extrude, make it come out. Then extrude inner. And then go to extrude. Extrude inner. And another way that you can do this is hit your space bar, and it will actually flip between the last two things. You can also go up to your window here, and this will list the last, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 things. So you could select it up in this way too. So I'm going to extrude that out. Then if you do extrude inner, but go the opposite direction, you can kind of get something funky going on like that. But that's pretty flat, so you want to make sure spacebar, whoops, nope, extrude, then bring it out a little bit, okay, so that you're building on that over and over again. So I'm pretty satisfied with that shape. Kind of like what's going on. It might cause a little problem with 3D printing right in here, but I'm not too worried about that at this point. So I'm going to turn on my Boole. I like where we are. I'm going to go right click, current state to object, delete my old Boole, delete my cylinder, put my new skull again. I can type in there. Okay. And click off so I'm not selecting anything. Now I want to do the teeth. And the way he did it was to put in a cube. Of course that's too big. You can adjust the size here. 45. I'm going to go down quite a bit. That's in a good spot. 16, or let's round that up to 20. And then in the Z, because you don't need the teeth all the way in the back of the head, I'm going to come forward and I'm going to come all the way down to like 10. Now it's behind, so I'm going to click on the Z and move it forward. Now that looks a little tiny. And the other thing I want to do is add segments. So if he has 5 teeth, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then that allows me to do that. Now one adjustment with the skull, I'm going to come in and select this bottom polygon and move that up just a little bit. I'm going to grab this cube, move that up, and move it out. Okay. And you can do this through the perspective view or even the 4 view. And again, hitting O will allow you to zoom in on those things that you have selected. So the next thing I want to do is go to edge mode, making sure that I've made that object instead of parametric to polygonal and point mode. I'm going to select all 5 of these because I want to match the kind of roundness of the skull itself. So I'm going to move them out just a little bit, and I'm looking on the perspective view but also the top view to make sure I'm coming forward appropriately. Then I'm going to rotate and select these 2 points and move those out. Okay. Great. Now something else you could do at this point is you could select the bottom polygons and control or extrude them out a little bit. T, scale those down. Don't like what's happening there because it was pulling inwards, but you could come in and bevel that. Whoa, my bevel is going insane. Undo. So sometimes if your bevel, see my bevel offset is -95, so I'm just going to do like 1 and apply. Well, that still is pretty insanely crazy. It's going the opposite direction, so undo. Z, undo again. So I must have had some kind of crazy setting on that when I did it, but this works a little bit better. I then can go move those down. So now I've got a bevel on the bottom. I can also come in and scale those up separately. So click on that polygon, hit T, scale that up. So watching what's going on here, you don't want to go past that edge. Then this one, I'm going to go, and you can scale them up differently too. Whoa, there we go. Something like that. And then let's do this last one. I'm going to zoom in, select it, scale it just a little bit. Again, it's kind of going crazy on me. So getting some teeth in there. I then can go select all of these and go to my right click bevel, and right now it says fixed distance limit. I'm going to turn off preserve groups. If I leave preserve groups on, it's going to try to do it to all of them, and I just want to do each one separately, so I'm going to click that off. And again, there must be some weird setting somewhere that I'm missing. So let's do extrusion of 1, 0 offset, round, and let's apply and see what happens. So it did do the extrusion. It's not exactly how I was hoping it would look. But you can come in and do each one separately too. If you wanted to come in here and do a bevel, and then go T, you can see how that affects it. Or, and that can cause some variation. Okay. I'm going to undo that. Another one that's kind of cool to use is your matrix extrude, and you can do how many steps it's going to do. Let's do 3 steps. Move and make sure I have each one selected. Okay, and I'm going to come back here to matrix extrude, 3 polygons, variation none, and let's just see. You can see what happens here. Kind of a crazy teeth situation going on. So what it's doing is it's moving, scaling, rotating each step. So if I do just 2 steps, it's like that. I can change the scale, the rotation to be 0. It flattens it out. Okay, so kind of get some interesting details to your teeth that way. It looks kind of funky, so I'm going to undo. Let's see, I'm going to come in here and do extrude inner, and now it's doing it to them all. I'm going to extrude that to bring them in. Okay. Then I'm going to, let's see, do an extrude inner. I'm going to click off preserve groups so each one's being done. Okay. Right click extrude, click off preserve groups, bring that out. So now I get some kind of interesting teeth shape in there. Okay. I like the direction that's going, so I am going to stop. And this could be adjusted. You could come in here, turn this off, go back to my skull, shorten this a little bit if you wanted to, make it longer, shorten a little bit, turn this back on. The only thing we got to make sure is that cube object is intersecting, and could even come away. I like that framing that's happening around it, so I'm going to intersect it just a little bit. I'm going to drop that in here, and I'm going to make sure that A union B is turned on. Go F1 just to look at everything. Look at the front, the back, okay. And I think that's good for the ears and for the teeth. Now make sure I go right click, current state to object. I delete the cube, the skull. Now I have that Boole. Now, if you find some points that are really just like awkward at this point, you could still come in and go to point mode, live selection, and then you can move that down. I can go select grow selection. Now all of those could be moved down a little bit or even inwards. Okay. I kind of like where it was, but I could go down. Let's do that. All right. So this concludes putting the ears in, manipulating the head a little bit, finding points. I mean, you could take any of these points also and move those out. Be careful of the geometry. We'll do something to fix that in the end. But this concludes step 2, adding the ears and the teeth. Thanks. See you in the next video. Bye.